Hey, what's going on, everybody? Erik Levi, the Holistic A-Hole here, coming at you with a new video from brand new A-Hole Studios. Yeah, that's all it right here. This is it. Brand new studio with a nice view of Puerto Rico behind me. That's a great little scene right there. That's real. That's not stock footage. You're not going to find that picture anywhere else on the internet. That is a real photo of the beach that is behind where I live. Ain't that amazing? Humble brag. So today, I want to talk to you guys about healthcare and the presidential election. So the Democrats just had their fourth debate last night. If you're listening to this in October 2019, last night was the fourth Democratic debate. I really don't know what happened, what people talked about, but I do know that if you watch the debate, you have nothing better to do with your life, because that's really what I think of these debates. I think they're nonsense. I don't understand the point of them at this point. I can't imagine why somebody at this point would be on the fence with who they're voting for if you're voting Democrat. If you don't know who you're voting for, I don't know. Have you been living under a rock for the last, 30 years? Because really, it's like each candidate kind of tells their own story, but the story of the Democratic Party in this way, it's like you have some of the candidates who are so far left. You have some of the candidates who are like kind of not as left, but centrist. But you pretty much know what you're getting from all of them, which is mostly more of the same. And I don't know why they keep doing this, but as they do more and more debates, it just keeps bringing up more of the nonsense that is politics. And really, the most nonsense that I'm concerned with is the discussion of the healthcare debate. Now, I know that most of the Democrats, what they want is this Medicare for all, this universal healthcare. I kind of consider it like free healthcare, even though of course it's not free. People are getting taxed to pay for it. Money's coming from somewhere to make this happen. But a lot of people like the idea of a government sponsored, I guess, healthcare. They like the idea of government paying for healthcare, even if it's going to make everybody's taxes go up. And it's pretty amazing because, when people talk about healthcare, first of all, the biggest problem with the healthcare debate is that they keep calling it a healthcare debate. It's not a healthcare debate. It's a health insurance debate. Nobody in America does not have healthcare. There is, for every single person that lives in America, access to healthcare. If you get hit by a bus, even if you don't have health insurance, you can go to the hospital and they're not going to let you die. If you get sick, you can go to a doctor's office and he's going to see you probably. Doctors a little bit more, a little different. Some doctors won't take people without health insurance, but you can go to an emergency room. So we keep conflating this idea of healthcare and health insurance because the problem is that people don't have adequate health insurance. So if you go get the healthcare, you might come back and not actually have the insurance company or anybody pay for it, which is obviously a huge financial burden for many people who live in the United States. So we got to figure out what we're going to do with healthcare. And the knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, let's just give healthcare, let's just give health insurance to everybody, make it so everybody has health insurance. Well, the problem with that is that there's no context. There's no context to this argument, because you can't just have healthcare. You can't just go to a doctor and have them take care of you and not be drawing money from some other account. Somebody has to pay the doctor. Somebody has to pay the facility. Somebody has to pay for all of the equipment that goes into that visit. And then, you start getting down the line further. Somebody's got to pay for the administrative people. Somebody's got to pay for the health insurance people. Then people have to pay for other people's jobs. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. And people believe that, well, if we just have the government cover it all, then that's going to take care of the costs. Because I think they believe that Medicare, people believe that if we just kind of set everything to Medicare, then that will naturally bring prices down, which actually has not been shown to be the case because most healthcare providers use a Medicare-based fee schedule and prices continue to rise. So my big thing is that again, I don't believe that the problem is that we don't have enough health care in this country. And I would like to reference a paper that I found. Let's reference this paper we got here. This was actually published just the other day. As you can see, it is in the JAMA Forum, Journal of American Medical Association, written by a couple docs. I think MPH is a doc. Yeah, no, maybe somebody high up. JAMA Forum, declining U.S. life expectancy and the 2020 presidential election. So what they are talking about is the idea that in all of these healthcare debates, you're not getting a discussion about life expectancy in the U.S. And the crazy thing is that life expectancy has actually been going through a downturn recently. This actually mentions here a 3-year downturn, which is pretty amazing in a country where we spend far and away more money than any country in the world on healthcare costs. Even though not everybody in this country is covered, 10% of the population is not covered by health insurance. People still have access to healthcare, and we keep spending more and more money on getting more and more healthcare, whether it's pharma drugs, medical equipment, the cost of medical schools, training doctors to be doctors, there's so much money in healthcare. It's one of the biggest industries, biggest employers in the country. And yet the life expectancy of people is freaking declining. How does this make any sense? So this is my point with all this. This is basically what I say with all this, which is that spending more money on healthcare does not make people healthier. What it does is it just gives people more Band-Aids. And I know, I get it. There's all of the stories out there of the people who say things like, well, access to healthcare saved my life. Getting my antidepressants saved my life. Getting my blood pressure medication saved my life. I don't doubt that. But the problem is all of those things that you've gotten medication for could have probably been treated with more alternative or holistic health practices. Now I get it. Many of you hear that phrase alternative health, and you're freaked out. You're like, this guy's a witch. This guy's a witch. He's trying to kill people. He wants babies to die of cancer. Not all the babies. No, I don't want that to happen at all. My point is that people every single day in this country somehow miraculously use things like nutrition and food and supplements to treat chronic disease, depression, anxiety, all these different mental illnesses, PTSD, but then even blood pressure, diabetes. You don't need medication for these things. You can do this by diet. If you look at the diets of most people who are on blood pressure medications, it's pretty horrific. If you look at the diets of people who are diabetic, who are on diabetes medication, it's pretty awful. So you need more people to be getting the information on how you can use food to actually treat chronic disease, instead of having people's knee-jerk reaction the second their blood pressure rises to go to the doctor and get another pharmaceutical drug. Also keep in mind that with these pharmaceutical drugs, most of them come with a whole host of side effects. That's why you watch a commercial for a drug on TV, and out of a 60-second commercial, 48 seconds of it are side effects. So essentially what happens is you spend money on the drug that you get, and then you spend more money treating the side effect. And then you spend more money treating the side effect of the side effect. And then you spend more money treating the side effect of the side effect of the side effect. You see how this works? It just keeps going on and on and on. So this is why you start seeing things like, like this paper here talking about the failure of the healthcare system. Why, why is it that we live in a country where we spend far and away more money by multiples of numbers, more than the next closest country, which I don't know, is that a European country? Is it China? Is it Canada? I don't know who it is. Australia, maybe. We spend so much more money on healthcare, but yet the population, the freaking life expectancy of people here keeps declining. That is your indicator right there of the failure of not just the healthcare system, but all of healthcare. Healthcare is not healthcare; it's sick care. It's not fixing anything. In fact, the United States, it's here in this article, is actually the 43rd. What is it? 43rd on the list of countries that qualify for this. 43rd out of 195 countries of life expectancy. So there are 42 countries where ahead of us where people live longer than we do here in America. That's bonkers, man. That is straight up bonkers. And so this paper here, this paper talks goes into some good detail about all this, about like what is really happening. Like, also this really focuses on more of the presidential candidates and how they don't talk about this. I believe in this paper they say that the life expectancy numbers in the Democratic debates has been brought up out of 4 debates, 12 hours, or at this time of printing was 3 debates, 12 hours of debates, has only been brought up 3 times. 3 times prior to yesterday, which I'm sure didn't get brought up again. 3 times out of 12 hours, the idea of life expectancy in America has been brought up by candidates in the Democratic Party, which is out of control. And my main point with all this is that it's not just the number. It's not just the fact that life expectancy is going down. It's that the whole system is training people to really believe that, to really buy into this fact that we need more healthcare to stay healthy, that the solution to a declining life expectancy is just to keep pumping people full of more pharmaceuticals and getting them more medical equipment and getting them more doctor's appointments and more surgeries. But there's another interesting paper that I have here that let me find it so we don't go crazy here. So this is actually a study that was done in the annals? In the annals. It can't be annals. We'll go with annals. In the annals of family medicine, what this is a review of the contributions of healthcare to longevity. So what these fellows did, Dr. Robert Kaplan and Arnold Milstein, what they did is they took a whole host of studies they found through Google Scholar and PubMed and used several different methods of estimating the effect of healthcare on health outcomes. And essentially what they found is that the results converge to suggest that restricted access to medical care accounts for about 10% of premature death or undesirable health outcomes. 10%. So what that means is, and I get 10%, that's too much. That's, when people say that people are dying because they don't have access to healthcare. 10%, that's a big number. That we shouldn't have that. But what that means more than that is that 90% of the people who either pass away prematurely or have undesirable health outcomes, like they're continuing to deal with disease or there's some kind of effect in the treatment or whatever it is, 90% have nothing to do with people's access to healthcare. So what are we really talking about? We're talking about an issue that affects 10% of the population. Is it minorities? Is it homeless people? Is it? I mean, it's probably a mix of all that stuff, you know? But we can't consider this that big of a problem if only 10% are having this problem. So basically what this is that 90% of people who die prematurely or who have health problems are not having health problems or dying prematurely because they don't have access to health care. In fact, they do have access to health care, and what's probably happening is they're having access to too much health care. And the health care is actually what is killing people or what is hurting people. So as we sit here and talk about healthcare being such a big issue, of course it's a big issue. Of course it's completely bankrupting the country because we have so many sick people in this country. And the second we open up Medicare for all or universal healthcare, you better believe all those sick people are going to the doctor. And when you look at a study like this one, you realize that, well, that's going to be a problem when people start going to the doctor because they're not going to get better. In fact, they might actually get worse with all the side effects that we know about that comes with all of these pharmaceutical drugs. So I would encourage you, if you're curious about this, to pull up this study here, again, in the Annals of Family Medicine, Contributions of Healthcare to Longevity, a review of 4 estimation methods, and read for yourself and see what's really going on. Or you can pull up this paper that was in the JAMA Forum. Both of these came out in the last few months. The JAMA Forum one came out just the other day. So I'll link to it here in the description of the video. You can check it out for yourself. But more than anything else, when you listen to, when you start kind of formulating your opinion about healthcare, and it's fine, if you're a person who really believes that the government should be providing healthcare, at least have the facts, at least have the context in your hands, so you know exactly what you're talking about, and you're not freaking out over a boogeyman, over things that aren't a problem, that don't really exist. I think the real problem with healthcare in this country isn't the fact that we don't have enough of it. I think the problem with healthcare in this country is the fact that people are not using more natural methods and are not taking responsibility for their own healthcare. If you're a person who's sick, I know people don't like to hear this, but yeah, you do have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Only you can put the food in your mouth that you put in your mouth. Only you can put the cigarette in your mouth that you put in your mouth, or the soda that you drink in your mouth. Only you can do that. The government can't do that. If we start paying for other people's health care, if we start taxing people more money, the top class, we start taxing them more money, but then we're also of course going to have to tax the middle class. Are we going to start making more stipulations as to how to alleviate those costs? Are we going to start making cigarettes illegal? Are we going to start making soda illegal? Are we going to start taxing that stuff? This goes down a real interesting slippery slope as we start getting more and more into the debate. So I encourage you to definitely make sure you're up to date on what the conversation really is about as you go forward. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this whole matter. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm a racist Nazi who wants babies to die? I would love to hear your comments down in the comment section. Please leave them down there for me. If you're new to the Holistic A-Hole channel, please click the subscribe button with the little bell icon so you can be notified every time a new video comes out. And if you haven't done this yet, go on over and listen to the Holistic A-Hole podcast. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.